FOHO fam, how's it going? This is your CFW program manager, Ellen, and this is Sandy. She was in the photo that was marketing our foam rolling session today, so I wanted her to come in and say hello. She's probably going to leave now. Yep, there she goes. Welcome to another edition of our Wellness Wednesday Spotlight. And today's feature is going to be foam rolling. So if you guys are joining us live, please feel free to comment and let me know that you're here, and let me know if you have any questions as we go through our session today. So I'm just going to go ahead and close the door and tell you what we're going to do today. So this session will be about 20 minutes or so, and if you are not able to join us live, it will be saved onto our Facebook page, but also uploaded onto the FOHO YouTube channel. So you need a foam roller for today, and I want to do something different for you guys. We've had a couple of foam rolling tutorials, how to use the foam roller, mainly for myofascial release and working through those tight, stiff muscles that we have after a workout. So we will go through a couple of those towards the end of our session, but I wanted to show you something new and different so that hopefully you can learn something during this session. So we're going to start with stretches that we can actually do using the foam roller, and then also go through some exercises, mainly for core and spinal stability. So just a real brief intro about foam roller here. This is a typical, one of the longer length foam rollers, and they have different densities. So there's white foam rollers, which are the softest, and then you have blue or gray that would be somewhere in the middle, a medium density, and then you have your black foam rollers, which are hard density. Ideally, I would be using a white or a gray or blue, some sort of medium density, but I only have the black one for today. And again, if you want more information on just foam rolling for self-myofascial release, we have lots of info on our YouTube channel all about that. So today we're going to do some stretches and exercises. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to show you guys 3 main stretches that I love to do with the foam roller. And if you guys come to my Friday flow class that I teach on Friday mornings live, you're probably familiar with some of these stretches. So this one is really great for the chest, the shoulders, but also the hips and the low back. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this first one. So again, if you have your foam roller, go ahead and grab it and join. So you're going to sit right on the edge of your foam roller here, making sure that your hips are on the roller. And then you're just going to slowly lower down so that your spine, your back is on the foam roller, but also your head, neck, and shoulders. Okay? So if you've never done this before, it might feel a little weird at first. It might be a little shock to your spine, to your neuromuscular system, so take a few moments to just breathe and make sure that you are okay here laying on your foam roller. I'm going to be turning my head a lot just so that I can see you guys at the screen, but when you're doing this, make sure to keep your head right in line with your neck. Keep that neck nice and long and just relax here. So I'm going to have you guys stand there just for a couple more breaths as I readjust my screen here. So again, if you're popping on for this live version, if you're not watching it later on, stop in and say hello. Let me know that you are watching. So I'm just going to bring this up a little bit closer so that you guys can see me. Okay, so we're on our foam roller. All right. So we're first going to start with that upper body. Okay, so you might be familiar with this stretch as well. So I'm going to slide up a little bit. We're going to take those arms up. Your palms are going to be facing one another. We call this a T stretch. You're going to make the letter T with those arms. You're going to open them out to the side as you inhale, maybe immediately feeling that stretch in your shoulders. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring those hands back up. So we're going to do this 10 times. Take it out, and up. So go ahead and keep going. Just have to adjust my roller a little bit so you guys can see me. So let's try 5 more of these. And again, our feet are just staying about hip distance with our knees up. We're just keeping ourselves nice and balanced and stable on the foam roller because it might feel a little unsteady. That is okay. We're going to activate those core muscles to work just a little bit today. So we'll do 1 more and then we're going to hang out here. So if you have really tight shoulders, again, you might already be feeling the stretch. I know that I am. The reason that we do this on the foam roller is so that we can let gravity push down to get more of a stretch. Whereas when you're doing this flat on the floor, you can only go so far as the floor, right? So you could do a doorway stretch, which is just another version of this, but if you have a foam roller, you can really get into those shoulders, and we're also going to work our way down and get into those hips as well. So why are we doing this? Because we want to stretch out the front side of our body. If we sit all day at our desk or on our sofa or on our bed, however it looks, more likely than not, our hips are flexed in this position almost all day, and our shoulders are probably rounded forward, may or may not have bad posture. I know that I do. So this stretch really helps to get into these muscles. If you have poor posture and shoulders are rounded forward, it means that these muscles are tight, right? So we want to release them. So if you're not feeling it and you need a little bit more, instead of a T, you're going to make the letter Y. So arms come down here, and again, listen to your body. Just do what you can. It is stretching. So inhale, lift up. Exhale, you're going to take those arms all the way overhead. So now you're sort of creating the letter Y with those arms. And the goal is to get those hands to touch the floor behind you. So you want to get your palms touching the floor. Now, if you felt like maybe this was a little bit too much, you could always just come back to that T position. So again, I do about 5 to 10 reps in case I haven't moved all day, just to sort of get those shoulders a little bit warmer. Okay, so this is sort of a stretch and exercise combo. And if you do this on a regular basis, you might find that you're able to get into this position a little bit easier. And maybe you can get the back of those hands to touch the floor. And with stretching, it shouldn't be painful, right? It might be a little bit uncomfortable, but you know what? Being uncomfortable is okay. Because if we never get out of our comfort zone, our bodies aren't going to change, our minds aren't going to change, we're not going to change anything about what we're doing if we just always stay in that comfortable zone. So same thing goes for exercising and for stretching. So this one I feel a lot more. It is a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to take a few more breaths. It's not painful. Just really allowing gravity to push down, do its thing. Make sure that you're breathing while you do this so that you don't tense up your muscles even more. So, and as with all stretches, you ideally want to hold it for 15 to 30 seconds at least. And so now we'll just gently, very slowly, again being mindful of your shoulders and your neck, just take those hands back down. Ooh, I feel that. Okay, so now we're going to do 1 more laying on top of our foam roller, and then I'll show you the next 2. So we're going to do the same thing with our legs and with those hips. All right, just adjust my roller. So keep your hands down by your side. What we're going to do now is just simply extend our legs straight out so that we move the stretch into those hips. And this one, nice and slow, being mindful of that low back. This might not feel super comfortable, but we're going to keep those feet nice and wide for stability purposes. Hands down again so you don't roll off the roller or slide off the roller. And we just simply extend our legs straight. Woo. So you can almost sort of imagine sitting on the edge of a doctor's table and having your legs just kind of slide off the end. That's sort of how this is going to feel. So we're really getting into those tight, tight hips. And since we are elevated on that foam roller, we're able to get into that stretch. Whereas just laying on your back, your legs can't go any further than just the floor, and you can't really get into those hips. So if you wanted to get the fullest version, you have legs extended and then arms overhead, so that you're sort of making the letter X. So now arms overhead, and so as you can probably feel if you're doing this with me, that you're getting a full stretch throughout the entire front side of your body, which is probably very much needed, even if it's a little uncomfortable. And remember, again, I'm just turning my head so I can see you guys. Make sure to keep your head straight and not turning your neck. And if this was a little, maybe too much for your low back today, you just would simply bend your knees and place your feet back on the floor, okay? So listening to your body, what works for someone may not work for someone else, so just go at your own pace and do what you can. So now we're gonna slide off the roller. So that was one stretch, but a couple of variations, okay? So I have two more to show you, and then we're gonna get into just a couple exercises. So we slide off, nice and easy. All right. Ooh, and so you should immediately feel better. As soon as you stand up, you should feel better after just that one stretch. But I'm going to show you two other stretches. Okay. So let's do the hips actually first. So we have a hip stretch, and then we have another back stretch. So this is in addition to what we did. You're going to lay down on your back. Oh, I see we have a bunch of people watching. Hi. Comment. Let me know that you're here. For our foam rolling edition of our Wellness Wednesday Spotlight. Thanks for coming. Okay, so I'm laying on my back, and you're going to place that foam roller underneath your knees, your feet. So this one you could definitely do with pillows. Even the first one, honestly, you could do with lining up pillows too. All right, we're going to lift up into a bridge. We're going to pull that roller, and we want to slide it right underneath our hips. So hips, low back, we want to make sure we're nice and supported. If you're familiar with yoga, this is very similar to a supported bridge pose or inversion, as they call them. All right, so might feel again a little bit weird if your hips are really tight, and if your shoulders are tight, even just seated like this or laying in this position, you might already feel that stretch. So feel free to stay right here. We're just going to add on a little bit. We're going to lift those legs up, and then just to warm them up a little bit, I am just going to go ahead and extend my legs, bend and straighten a couple times. My hamstrings are really sore from my class on Monday that I taught. So I'm still feeling that soreness. So just sort of warming up the legs a little bit, maybe circle those ankles, wiggle those toes. I just haven't really done any movement today, so that's why I'm doing it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hug one knee into the chest. I'm going to go ahead and bring that right knee into my chest. And now I'm going to lower my right foot onto the floor. So nice and slow, foot comes to the floor. I'm keeping that knee bent. So this is my really tight side. So you can probably see that my foot doesn't actually quite touch the floor. But after a couple of breaths, and after a couple of seconds here, very slowly, that muscle is going to release. Gravity's going to push down even more, and I will eventually get my foot to the floor. And even as I was speaking, I've actually been able to touch the floor now. So if your hips are not tight, and maybe you don't feel this at all, feel free to extend your legs straight out, right? So my leg is obviously very high, but maybe you can bring your heel all the way down to the floor, okay? So again, taking a few breaths here. One thing to note that while you're doing this, we do want to make sure that we're still engaging our core a little bit. So go ahead and add a little mini tuck with those hips and lower abs. So we just don't want our back arching completely up. Okay, so a little bit of a tuck to protect that spine. And maybe just one more breath here. And again, you can do this for a little bit longer. I just want to make sure that I have enough time to show you guys how to do all of these. So again, feel free to do this longer for 30 seconds and maybe even 2 or 3 times on each side. All right, let's go ahead and switch. So now this is my left foot. As you can see, my foot reaches the floor right away, but it's still pretty tight. So I'm going to tuck my hips under, make sure that I'm not arching that low back while I'm in this stretch. And we're going to take a few breaths. So I'm extending that leg, maybe adding a little bit more. And then just noticing, you know, what side is maybe a little tighter than the other or a little bit looser. Not having any judgment towards that. It's your body, and you know, you should love your body as it is, but just sort of being aware of you know, what side maybe needs a little bit more stretching, maybe a little more attention. All right, and then let's slowly come up. Ooh, man. So again, that was challenging. That was a little bit uncomfortable, but it was not painful. So again, if anything becomes painful, just simply pull back and don't do that part, right? Just pull back. All right, so one more stretch. Okay, let's lift up a little bit higher so we can move that foam roller away from us. And then I'm just gonna gently roll over to one side. So we got our hips. We're going to come into back and shoulders for this next one. And this is very similar to a child's pose that you might do in a normal group fitness class or a yoga class. We are just adding this foam roller to it. So what we're going to do is start with our knees nice and wide and feet together, just as if you were in a nice child's pose stretch. Okay. Foam rollers in front of us. We're going to bring it pretty close here, and we're going to sort of imagine that Y position, that Y that we made earlier with our arms. We're going to do the same thing here, okay? So this is our inhale. So we have our hands on that foam roller, and as you exhale, you're just going to slowly move that roller away from you and start to bring your head into right in between your arms here, trying to bring your forehead to the mat. So I'll show you a few times from the side and then from a different view. And so here, it just enables you to have something that you can touch and something that moves to get further into that stretch, as opposed to, you know, just sort of like reaching in that child's pose, which sometimes can be uncomfortable and a little more a little too rough. So the roller is really helpful for this stretch. Okay, and then inhale, we come back up, we stack our vertebrae, we're nice and tall, and then exhale. So then you start to sort of find a flow with it, right? So maybe you're here for a couple of seconds, right? And then you slowly come back up. So let me just show you from the front so you can see how that looks. So not only in the shoulders and upper body, but you'll feel this in your low back too, because that's what that child's pose stretch is when we sit back. So I start here because as I exhale, that foam roller is going to move away from you, okay? So I come down like this. Maybe you take a breath or two here, and then inhale, you stack the vertebrae. Hair everywhere. You come all the way up, and then exhale, you come back down. And so my palms are facing one another. We want to turn them out slightly, because that will just only encourage our shoulders to open up a little bit more, right? As opposed to being down like this. Open up. Okay, so those are your stretches. So hopefully that was something new that you learned. And then I have core exercises, about 4 core exercises that I want to show you guys. So this is using the foam roller, again, in a very different way. And again, if you're interested in the actual reason why we have foam rollers for self-myofascial release, I'll touch on that in just a few minutes at the very end. But we already have a foam rolling tutorial and some info on our YouTube channel if you want to get more into that. So, exercises. You're probably thinking, oh, what would you do with a foam roller? You're supposed to stretch out and roll tight muscles with it. But there's a lot of exercises that you can do as well. So our first one is for our back. And these are mainly for core and spinal stability. okay? So the first couple will be a little bit lower intensity, a little bit easier, and then our last two are gonna be harder. So our first one is a cobra. So just like you would do in yoga, we're gonna do it with the foam roller, similar to our stretch, right? So in your cobra, you're on your chest and your belly, your legs, your feet are nice and wide to help give nice support and stability for that low back, okay? Arms out, just like we did in that stretch, all right? And so as you inhale, you lift up, you pull those shoulder blades down and back. My range of motion is very limited, but you might be able to go a little bit higher, then exhale, you lower. Do you guys see that? Inhale, lift up, shoulders down and back. I'm wincing because this is hard for me. And exhale, lower. So keep going. So it's just, this would be a typical cobra that you would do in yoga or just a stretch class. So we're just making it a little bit harder by having our arms extended and using the roller. It also, again, helps us to slowly make and create a little more space in the body, right, with that rolling motion, as opposed to something static with your hands down here, yeah? So again, lift up. And again, it's also unstable, the foam roller, exhale, lower. So what that means is that all those smaller muscles are activated and they start working a little bit harder. So inhale, we lift up. And so that just helps to recruit even more muscles to work and makes you even stronger when we start working all those stabilizer muscles. All right, that's enough of that one. That one's tricky, okay? So let's move on. Our next one, this is a really good stability one because you have to turn on these core muscles and all the stabilizing muscles in order to not slide off and fall off the foam roller. But good thing is that it's not far from the floor, so it's okay if you fall off. This one's a little uncomfortable too, so, but I do want to show you guys in case you were interested in trying it. So we're gonna lay on the foam roller. Now if you have a hard density, right, the high density one, which is the black, this is gonna be a little challenging. So ideally you're doing this on maybe a white foam roller or maybe even pillows, okay? So we're gonna do, it's called prone meaning on the floor, chest down, belly down, swimming or just extensions, all right? So arms and legs extend, we lift opposite arm and leg at the same time. So inhale, we lift, exhale, we lower, and switch. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale, and exhale. So keep moving. The reason why this is harder than doing it just here is because of the element of instability with our foam roller. So that's really the only reason why we're doing it on the foam roller, to activate, use some more muscles, and make it a little bit harder, right? So I'll just show you one more time. We lift up, inhale, and exhale, lower. Okay, and if you want a little bit more, you can just do some flutter kicks. So I'll pull this up. So hands on the floor here, or even holding that foam roller, legs up, right? And you can kick. So just like you would, on the floor here. So I know I need to work on that because my low back muscles are pretty weak. So that's your spinal stability on the foam roller. And then I wanted to end just a few more minutes, last two exercises. And these are core, okay? So these are plank variations. So we're gonna start tucking those toes. We're on our knees, all right? We're gonna roll out into a plank. So you're gonna roll out, extend, find your plank, right? Tuck those hips under, roll back, knees down. And adjust that roller as you need to, right? Come back out, inhale, exhale, hold. And then knees come down, roll back. Try it. It is much harder than a regular plank. And that's because my arms are on an unsteady surface as opposed to flat on the ground. So one more time, roll out, hold. My whole body is shaking. All right? And then the next one, plank knee tucks. So one that you could do without any equipment or maybe with gliders. We slide our knees into our chest. or with the stability ball. We're gonna do it with the foam roller. So for this one, you can do it on your hands or on your forearms. Our feet are on the roller. And as we exhale, we pull those knees in. And then we come back out. So I'm just gonna adjust my legs here, bring it in and out. Pull it in and out. So you guys see that? That one's tricky. So you have to start with that foam roller a little bit higher than where your ankle is. So the lower part of your shin, so that when you slide your knees in, you still have at least your toes on the foam roller, okay? So again, not the most comfortable, but if you're looking for a way to switch things up, a great exercise. So one more time, you're here, inhale, exhale, bring it in. Just make sure that back stays flat, pull it in, right? And you can do it down here too. Bring it in and out. This one, your hips would lift up a little bit. Woo, I'm tired from just that. So that just creates the instability on the other end of your body. So that roll up plank, having it on your arms, and on the knee tucks, having that roller on your feet, and engaging those lower abs. Okay, so the quick, just to end, last minute here, myofascial release. So a typical way that we use foam rollers is to roll out tight muscles in the body. Think of taking a rolling pin to dough and just rolling it out. When our muscles are tight, they sort of tense up a little bit, and this helps just to break up tissue, increase blood flow, and just get your muscles moving a little bit. Best time to do it is, honestly before a workout, just because it does help to increase that circulation and blood flow, helps to warm you up, especially for runners. So right before a run, I definitely recommend. So most common one is rolling out the quads. And again, I'm just gonna show you two because we have other videos about this, but since we're here with our foam roller, why not? So you're in a plank position and you just wanna go from the hip to the knee and just rolling across that muscle, right? So nice and slow, make sure you're breathing. You don't wanna go too fast. You don't want to be all crazy with it, right? So just nice and slow, 20, 30 seconds on a place where you really feel a tight knot, maybe hang out in that spot for a couple extra seconds, okay? And then the other one that tends to be really tight in our bodies are the IT bands, so iliotibial band. This one is tricky just because it can feel a little bit uncomfortable. So again, you'd want to start with probably a white foam roller. So last one here and then we're done. So side plank position, okay? What I'm gonna do is keep this top leg in front and keep the connection with the foot to the mat so I don't have all my body weight on that foam roller. I'm gonna lift up this back leg, and just like we did before, I'm gonna go from the hip to the knee, rolling through this muscle. Woo, and I feel this one. Whew. So this can be a little painful, but again, you don't want it to be so painful that you're never gonna do it again, all right? So listen to your body. Maybe if this is the only foam roller that you have, think about getting a lower density. Think about getting the white one, and maybe just do it for 10 seconds if you're new to it. If you're not new to it, then maybe you do need to up it and get a black foam roller, get that high density to really get into those tight muscles. So that's all that I have for you today for our Wellness Wednesday Spotlight. I hope you guys learned some new things with the foam roller, stretches, exercises, and a couple little myofascial release tips there. So again, this will be saved onto the Facebook page. We're also gonna upload it onto YouTube channel, and hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.